We talk about getting criticism from unbelievers, atheists, Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, whatever. But a lot of times I find that I'm getting even more criticism from Christians. They don't like the way I'm doing something, or they think we should have said this way or that way, or we should use a different word. And frankly, I'm sad to say that a lot of Christians seem to think we're saved by theology, and if we don't agree with them on every little nitpicky bit of theology, then we are in trouble. And even if we don't want to discuss theology because we're sharing the gospel, we're in trouble. So maybe you have too, but I've been defriended by a wide spectrum of so-called Christians on the internet. And we get insults on our videos and other things online from people who call themselves Christians. I might call them Christian jerks. What do you think? Do you come across this too?
Certainly. So I wouldn't immediately jump to questioning their beliefs, and I know that you're not saying that. But Christians, frankly, can behave in an unchristian way, just like everyone. In fact, being a good follower of Christ is very difficult. It's a hard path, and it's hard for all humans, even those of us who try to do that and show God's love. So, of course, we encounter this sort of thing. There are, different reasons for this. I do think a lot of times people use this as a way of putting themselves above you. They could say, "Oh, well, you didn't do this in the best way. My way is better." And frankly, everyone thinks that their way of doing things is the best, pretty much no matter what it is. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with all of us liking the way that we do things. We should, of course, be open to considering other possibilities. But yeah, some people can take it too far and be very mean in their criticisms. And so, yeah, I've definitely noticed this. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about with this one.
Well, for example, I'm happy to say that on our board of directors with the ministry I work with, we have a spectrum from Calvinist to charismatic and pretty much everything in between. And we're not requiring that you share every little item of theology with us. No, we believe in the gospel, and that's what we're sharing, and finding ways to share it. Not saying we have to be 100% on each little minutia of theology. So that's one problem that we get into, is people demanding that we share their theology. But
yeah, I do have something to say about that. So that is kind of an extreme example of Christians being very inhospitable. I think first of all, most of the time, if you're like, if you post a YouTube video, if you post a comment, you will often have Christians criticizing the way you did something. Maybe if they're doing a better job, they'll be doing it in private, sending you a message, but they may just say it to the whole world, you're not a good Christian, you're not doing this the right way. That's most of what you get, is sort of like minor criticisms, and sometimes those are totally fine. But maybe the attitude with which they do it is a little too much, or maybe not. But this specific type that you're talking about, where people are very, very critical, I've had this happen to me, where they will not even extend the hand of fellowship. They say, "You're not a Christian, you're not a believer because you don't agree with how I interpret Anselm or Aquinas or some very obscure point of theology." And to them, that has become the most important thing in the world. So people can get like this, and it's actually been some of the most negative interactions that I've had with people altogether. So yeah,
it's
it can
sad
happen.
They would defriend us for that, or someone extreme on a certain theology said, "Oh, well, if you don't believe what I believe, then you're an idolater and you're going to hell." Have you seen that before too? It's like, what?
Yeah.
You know, their definitions are so narrow.
I want to focus on only the most important stuff.
That's a good point also.